Hey everybody, welcome to another installment of Brad Cook Stuff. This week, I decided I wanted meatloaf. That's right, meatloaf. Now, when I was a kid, I feel like a lot of Americans used to think, oh man, meatloaf for dinner, so lame. But when I was a kid and I knew we were having meatloaf for dinner, I was always excited because my mom made really good meatloaf. And so, with a little advice from her, I have come up with my own spin on meatloaf, and I'm going to make that tonight for dinner. Anyway, let's take a look at the ingredients and see what we're working with this week.
These are all the ingredients we're going to put into tonight's meatloaf. Rather than give all of them to you right now, I'll just tell you what I'm putting in as I put it in. Anyway, let's get started. First, I'm going to chop up these brown mushrooms into little tiny pieces. That's all my chopped mushrooms. We're going to set those aside and move on. The next thing we're going to do is tear up this piece of old baguette that I have. It's not bad, it's just a little bit dry and stale, but that is perfect to make meatloaf. Looks like I ended up tearing off a lot more than I needed. We're just going to get a half a cup of this and put it in with our mushrooms. Next, I'm going to crack open this egg and mix it up a little bit to add to our mixture later. Easy enough, let's set this aside. I'd say it's time to go ahead and put our ground beef into a container and kind of break it up a little bit. Those 5 trays all had slightly different amounts of beef, but they were all 100 grams or less, so altogether, this is maybe just under a pound of ground beef. In the interest of transparency, I am actually going to try to record myself adding all of these ingredients in real time. We're going to be some plastic gloves here. The first thing we're going to add is half of this Lipton Recipe Selects Beefy Onion Soup Mix package. I was told that half a package should be plenty. As you can see, it's kind of gray and nondescript, so we'll go ahead and add in about half of the package here. Might err on the side of caution. All right, that should be enough. All right, so let's go ahead and mix this in first. There we go. It's scattered throughout. That should be good. All right. Smells pretty good already. All right, next, we're going to add in our bread and mushrooms. There we go. Put all those in. All right. Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and mix all of this in. There we go. So the bread helps hold everything together. The mushrooms are just my personal preference. There we go. All right. Next up, we're going to put in our mixed egg. There we go. Make sure we have all that in there. The egg is also a binding agent. That's about as good as it's going to get. Anyway, there we go. All right. Let's mix the egg up here. All right. Next, I'm going to use some of this Stamina Ichiban, which is garlic, Asian pepper, and eringe mushroom. That's why we're actually doing double mushroom for this one. All right, we're going to put in a nice amount. All right, that should be enough of that. Not too much, just enough. Give a little bit of flavor. There we go. Mix that in. I mean, it's definitely smelling good. The next thing we're going to add is some parsley flakes. Why not? Go. Get a nice liberal amount of parsley flakes. There we go. Check that out. All right. Add a little green to the brown, right? All right. That should be plenty. I'm also told we need to add a little bit of milk. Now, not too much. I'm going to put in a 1/4 cup. Not even a 1/4 cup. There we go. All right. Now, let's go ahead and mix that up. All right, well, that is a giant clump of ground beef and other ingredients. We're going to go and stick it on a plate, shape it into a loaf, and then microwave it. Now, because microwaves cook from the outside in, the center is usually the last thing to get cooked. So it was recommended to me that I turn this into more of a ring shape, and it should cook a little more evenly. Let's microwave it. Since I haven't made this before, it was recommended I put it in for 3 minutes at 500 watts and then check. So in the end, that was 3 minutes at 500 watts, 6 minutes at 700 watts, and 2 more minutes at 500 watts. I think it's done, but there's a lot of juice, as you can see right here. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and cut this up a little bit, put it into a container, and then I think I'm going to pour the juice over top. After that, it's time to eat.
All right, moment of truth. I have here a quarter of my just-made meatloaf. So that's ground beef, egg, breadcrumbs, chopped up mushrooms, and a couple other ingredients thrown in. And as I've been saying recently, if you have good ingredients, then you're going to have good food. So first, it smells really good. It doesn't look great. It's meatloaf. Meatloaf never really looks great, but got a nice big bite here. All right, let's give it a try, see how it tastes. Well, that's actually pretty good, honestly. Yeah, I got another big piece here. This is really good. All right, this is very flavorful. It better be, with all the stuff I put into it. Yeah, I really think that stamina ichiban helps out a lot because it's got that garlic, the Asian pepper, and the little bit of Iriga mushroom. You can actually see little bits of the Asian pepper as part of that sauce in here. Yeah, let's have another bite here. So this is actually surprisingly good for my first try at making meatloaf. And honestly, it's very hearty. So yeah, I'm really pleased. And it wasn't hard to make. It was just, as with many things, time consuming. I had to put in a whole bunch of stuff and make sure that it was all properly mixed, and then basically play with how long I cooked it in the microwave. I could probably cook it a little bit longer or, flip it over and cook it. But really, for my first effort, I can call this a success for sure. This is basically a little thing I'm having before I go to bed, but I've still got 3/4 of this thing that I can have at a later date. As for substitutions, there's any number of things you can swap in. If you don't have access to beefy onion soup, put in some beef bouillon, maybe some dried onion, and that would be fine. If you can't get a hold of that Stamen Ichiban sauce, ketchup would work, or any other sauce that has a nice strong flavor. And if you really don't want mushrooms in your meatloaf, as a lot of people don't like mushrooms, leave them out, or, I don't know, put something else in if you want to. Extra breadcrumbs, I don't care. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish what I got here. But as always, appreciate you guys stopping in, and we'll see you in the next video.